Hello, my name is Kay Otebade, and today my very good brother is a mentor to me, and
Yeah,
he's also a very
I,
good friend.
I don't reach the level of mentor.
Yes, so,
Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. He advised me. He helps me most of the time. His name is Dr. Ufoma Akmoki. You can
Okay,
also introduce yourself.
okay. You've mentioned, my name is Ufoma Apoki, Dr. Ufoma Apoki, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you're having me here, and I look forward to our discussion. So off screen, you were saying you had an idea you wanted us to discuss about. So let's hear it.
Yeah. So I want you to introduce yourself without your background, your
Okay,
occupation,
okay,
where you was born,
okay.
just without your hobbies also. So I want you to introduce yourself without those parameters.
Okay, before we do that, I would like to understand what is what the reason for that would be, because
Okay.
even when you meet someone for the first time, people meeting me for the first time, when you meet someone on the street for the first time, you when you see their physical appearances, you you can make some conclusions about them. Like, if you see the person is, let's say, if you're in Europe, for instance, if you see, let's say, not so much as, let's say, countries like the Netherlands where they have a lot of blacks and stuff. If you see, we reside in Romania. If you see someone black in Romania, you obviously know this person is not native Romanian. Either the person either the person is biracial. No, the person is not Romanian at all, because biracial means he has a different physical appearance. So you can make some conclusions about the person. If the person tells you his name, for instance, my name is Ufoma, it means I'm from the South South. So there's some form of background attached to my name. Uh, I know also my name Ufoma means peace. So for some reason, my parents, even though I'm not a very peaceful person, not that I look for trouble, but I'm not sure why they gave me that name. But for
Oh,
some reason,
they were hoping you were going to be peaceful.
or maybe it brought some peace to them. Maybe it was,
Exactly to them during that time. Yeah.
yeah. So I know they are in a row, but they are very long names. Ogene, they are very long names, and most times
Yeah.
it ties to the circumstances of your birth. It ties to maybe something your your parents hope you achieve, or if your parents mostly are Christians. It's mostly in Nigeria where we have Christian names like um what
Paul,
no,
John.
we have Paul in places like Romania, or places like in Nigeria where we have names like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all
Ah,
those Chris.
okay. Yeah.
And also there are some other Christian names I'm thinking about, like, okay,
Peace,
Elijah, yeah, peace and
joy,
stuff. Yeah, like joy and happiness and all those things. You wouldn't see that.
innocent.
Innocent, yeah. You wouldn't see that in other cultures. So your
Yeah.
name, your physical appearance, even before the person opens his mouth, um, you can make some conclusions about the person's background. So, beyond the aspect of background, okay, you talked about job. Um, okay, why? Naturally speaking, we live in a society. Why do you think it's wrong for people to, let's say, most times when people introduce themselves, like even if you see on social media, most people say, I am this, I'm a politician, or I am IT specialist, or I'm a medical doctor, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I was the governor of this, I was this.
Yeah.
Do you think that in some sense is a wrong societal placement of value we put on ourselves and other people?
Yeah. For me, subjectively, I think
uh,
we try to build up an hierarchy in our subconscious so we can evaluate he or she. based on what he or she is working, and give them a sense of like pedigree or respect, the way we conversate with them. We use it to evaluate your IQ most of the time, So we know the kind of discussion we're going to have with you, the kind of lane or the kind of direction the conversation is going to lean towards, most of
Okay,
the
but
time.
is that okay? That can go both ways. That can be a good thing,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
can also go a bad. It can also be a bad thing. Like if you see
yeah.
someone who is probably a medical doctor, I might be inclined because I have medical personnel in my family, and
Yes.
one way or the other, I've been exposed to some medical terminologies and some, let's say, scenarios and stuff. So I might be inclined to um, to form a familial bond with the person to raise medical topics. If I see someone, let's say a real estate developer, I might be inclined to discuss those topics. So maybe that is not a bad thing in itself. Maybe I think the point you're trying to say, okay, you see someone, let's say someone who works as a garbage collector, that is not a bad thing in itself. And then you see someone who, let's say, is the example I used was, let's say, a real estate developer, and
Okay.
maybe some people might not give the person who is a garbage collector his due respect, or may let's say
Yeah.
place him on a hierarchy society, a hierarchy
True.
in
Which is very true.
society,
Yeah.
and the person who is a real estate developer might place the person higher up. But um, is that in itself a bad thing?
Like I said, for me, it's a subjective interpretation. So, like, for example, someone who is a garbage collector, let's take the best scenario. Like, let's say he lived in the village, he didn't have proper access to education, and later in his life, he came to the city, to start up his life, and the first job he got was a garbage collector. But deep down, this person has never lied, or probably only tells only white lies. He's very polite. He has never stole anything. Like, he lives up to the standard of the Ten Commandments, for example, compared to a real estate guy that for sure, most probably like 80%, they might have wronged someone, or one way or the other, for them to get to that pedigree of life. It can't be perfect. It can be.
But
And I
even
understand,
okay,
like,
go ahead.
for you to get to that pedigree, you need to step on people's toe and do some things. Not all of them, but most of the time that's what happens.
But say we take that garbage collector for instance. Not all people who work in low-paying jobs are necessarily good people, and
Yeah,
not
yeah, that's why I said
not
let's take the best scenario.
yeah, yeah,
The best
yeah.
scenario is, okay, he lived in the countryside or in the village, he didn't have proper access to education. He wants to do better for himself. He came to the major city, to establish himself. The first job he saw there was a garbage collector. But in between, he's trying to grow in life, Maybe from there he's gonna get something else. And you met him. And that person actually has a clean heart, like clean heart. So that I said, let's take the best scenario.
um okay, okay, taking that best scenario, um you can see someone like that, you can still accord the person a level of respect. But I think it would be a little bit hypocritical to say that we see that same person the same way we are going to see someone who is on a higher level society, in society. You can see someone and still accord someone a level of respect. Okay, we are all equal under the law. We are all equal to a certain degree. We all should have the same rights of speech, rights of religion, the same rights to a certain degree. But People who push this too far now say now have the concept that we are all equal in all aspects. That's not the case. If I go to a bank and I want to take a loan, they're not just going to see me and say, "Hey, you have a good heart. You're going to pay back." Even if I have a good heart and I think of paying back, my records have been clean. And they look at me and they don't see the pedigree of societal hierarchy. They wouldn't give me the loan, whether I'm equal or not.
Yeah.
But
Your
someone
credit
who
score
lets
matters.
my credit score matters. So in that case, whether I have a good heart or not, it really doesn't matter. It's of no use in that perfect scenario. But let's say if I go into the same bank and at least just because they see that I might not, let's say I dress shabbily and I go into the bank and they don't accord me a level of respect, maybe they treat me shabbily, they scream at
Okay.
me. Yes, then that's when we say, okay, this person has looked at me and made a conclusion based on my appearance, based on some setting. Or let's say I go into the bank and tell the person, hey, I'm a garbage collector, and they don't accord me like a level of respect. Okay, and I say I want to open a bank, and they don't want to open a bank for me. That's where an issue is. Maybe I might be a garbage collector with other businesses. Let's say I might have started there. I might have blossomed into that. Might be what I start with, but I might have a um, vision for something greater in the future.
In the future.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So if they don't accord me like a decent level of respect, then we might say that's where the problem is. But I think it would be um we'll be trying to live in a utopia if we say, okay, someone like that works in an establishment like that, and then that person is given the same level of treatment as someone who has moved up in society. But let's bring it back to our interaction, because we say, okay,
Okay.
you meet someone and you introduce yourself, and then I think most times when you say, "Hey, my name is this," then the next question is, "What do you do?" And
What do you do?
in such cases, what is your usual response?
Most case when I meet people and they ask, "Oh, how are you? What do you do?" I'm like, I play football, basketball. As you can see, maybe we met in the park. I'm here with my kid, having a good time. I love playing with my kid. I love reading. I love conversating with people, you know. And they'll be like, no, no, no. I mean, what do you do for work? I'll be like, oh, okay. That's just like 8 hours of my day, like in 5 days a week. This is what I do for money. I'm into tech and stuff like that. Yeah.
But doesn't that say, let's say uh, you were signed for Liverpool. You were like an Alexander Isak that just signed for Liverpool, and someone meets you in the park,
Okay.
and the person has no idea about you, and um, and the person asks you, "What do you do?" Wouldn't you be inclined to say what you do, like I'm a footballer,
Like I said,
or
for
or
yeah,
less?
most
You,
people, most people, most people
mhm,
would go with their profession.
mhm.
I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm an IT guy, I'm a footballer. Yeah. But me, I don't lean towards that.
But is
I,
that is
I
that a
lean
bad is that a bad thing in itself?
Yeah, because I came to myself like a self conclusion. The people use that to evaluate you most of the time. Like for example, let me give you give an example with the dumpster guy and stuff like that.
Mhm. Just,
But
just,
in
just one point to know. You can still meet someone and the person says, "Hey, I'm a downstar." There's a way he can introduce himself with pride in what he does that you respect him. You do know that,
Yeah,
right?
so of course if the person comes and say, okay, I'm a recyclist agent,
No,
okay, if
no,
the
no.
it's still the same, it's still the same thing. Or
Okay.
I'm into sustainability, maintenance
Mhm.
and sustainability. It's still a dumpster, like let's cut it short. Um, but my point is, you said when you go to the bank and you want to get a loan. They care more about your credit score, about your history, like what you're doing currently.
Hmm.
So let's say, for example, now you have you have a residence like a house or a ranch or something, and you're not going to be there for like 6 months, and you need someone to just be there for you, just to monitor it, and at that time you wouldn't need anyone with a good credit score to monitor your ranch or your residence.
But you will
You
need
would you would
someone.
need someone with a good character credit score.
But you will need someone with a good experience in managing things. If you meet someone, let's say the person has a good heart, the person doesn't lie, but the person drinks a lot, person probably spends a lot, the person is not attentive to details, and the person has a good heart. Would you still consider this person would be good for managing my property?
No, 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 no. That's why I said a good character. Like you
Okay,
need someone with a good credit score of character. Like people
okay.
can tell, oh, for sure, this guy, no, top notch. I can vouch for him. So credit score also matters with your character. You understand? Because I feel like that's the most your credit your character credit score is the most essential. And I can give you an example
Mhm.
that I heard. This is a story I heard. There's an Igbo apprentice, a big man. He became like a big man. He does, importation, and he does export. He had two sons. One of the son is a good guy. He keeps to his word, you know. No, and this the second son is like, over there, he doesn't keep to his word. So one of the first son had a contract from the government to deliver maybe 600 machine. And he told his dad, "Oh, dad, I have this contract. I need upfront." The dad said, "Sure, I'm going to send the 600 machine straight to you right away the next week." The father sent it to him. The second guy also had like, let's say 300. But the father said, "No, pay me upfront before I ship this thing to you because I know you won't pay me back." So that is when you see that in the life we live, your character credit score is essential. It's very important. That's how you build rapport. That's how you relate to people. That's how people can trust you. If your character credit score is low, people
Okay,
wouldn't want to associate themselves with you.
okay, but then if we bring it back to your relationships with people, when you meet someone, let's say um, I meet someone and I introduce myself and I say, "Hey, I'm an engineer," and the person says, "Hey, I'm a doctor." I have to come to some conclusion that for this person to go through medical school, which is 6 years, and if the person is a specialist, goes through a residency period, which is a minimum of 4 years. First off, I come to the unconscious conclusion that this person is someone dedicated. This someone
Of
is
course.
this person is has to be disciplined. He might not necessarily be intelligent, but you have to be disciplined to go through that process. This person has an appetite for life. So even before the person opens his mouth, I can I can conclude those character, I can perceive those character traits from that particular person. And then it makes me have a level of respect for that person. Going back to the dumpster guy, there are some people who have who have I know in society, um, there are people who have to do certain jobs, and unfortunately, someone on social media, a content creator, probably earns more than a scientist.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
it's
fact in our modern day that we
it's
live now. Yeah.
it's not the way society should be ideally structured, but that's that is people have learned. Okay, I play, this is the game, I play these rules and I get this. The person who is a scientist is playing the game of, okay, I devote my life, I devote my energies, I devote my intellect to solving a problem. And yeah, maybe he will get fulfillment in solving that problem. But the person who has devoted his life to, okay, I'm going to create content and I'm going to earn money, he has gotten his fulfillment in that. It is it is inappropriate for the person who is a scientist to later come and say society is not fair, society is treating me badly. I should get more money, more than the person playing football, more than the Messi or a Ronaldo. It's wrong. Messi and Ronaldo, they dedicated their life to something and they got the results from that. You've dedicated your life to something else and you've gotten the results for that. I'm not sure why I went into this line of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I, I can
it,
get your point from there. But let's fall back to the time of COVID when
okay,
only the essential workers, they were the one working. That means the delivery guys,
yeah,
doctors, nurse,
and they were
garbage
the
garbage
heroes.
guy, the
Yeah, yeah,
firefighters,
yeah,
police.
yeah, yeah.
Those are essential. But still, they didn't make one fourth of what footballers
U-
or the
Ultimately,
other people are making.
ultimately, ultimately, it was the pharmaceutical companies at the end that made all the money during that period.
Exactly. And without those people, the world would not even function. Like the world would be on standby. COVID didn't make the world be on standby. Without those people, the world would be on standby.
Yeah,
COVID
but
just paused the world. But without the essential workers, people on the data center, people like those are people that needs to be there 24 hours, 7 days a week.
yeah,
Like,
so coming back to the point. So if I meet someone who is a medical doctor, like I said, I'll form those perceptions that probably the person is disciplined, the person is focused,
yeah,
the person is vision oriented and goal oriented, especially if the
yeah,
person has finished, not someone who probably went to medical school and dropped out. Even dropouts like people have gone on to do greater things, like let's say Bill Gates and stuff. So
yeah,
but if I see someone who, let's say, is in quotes, I put this in quotes, someone who works a job lower than, let's say, medical practitioners, for instance. Um, let's go. Sorry, we are hammering on these garbage collectors, but
that's just
someone
an
like that,
example. Yeah,
as an example, not that we are trying to denigrate the job, because
yeah,
um, anybody who works hard to provide for his family should be respected,
yeah,
should be respected at all.
100%.
Yeah, but then we are talking, if I look at such a person, especially if the person is a young person, I'll say, okay, this person might be a hardworking person. This person is doing what, rather than staying idle, or let's say going into vices, this person is doing what he can to sustain himself and provide for the person. But probably if the person is in his 50s or 60s, whether no matter how unbiased I am, I have to come to the conclusions that either,
Subconsciously, yeah,
yeah, subconsciously, even if I still respect that person, I have to come to the conclusion that either circumstances happened to him that made him go down that line, either he had a disability or some very bad circumstances happened to him. If none of that was the case, then also have to, the another option was that he wasn't someone um who took opportunities as they came, or he wasn't someone who knew how to, not that the person might have been a bad person, but he wasn't someone who knew how to play by the rules of the game society. Because obviously everybody wants to, as I mean, I want to be earning money like Ronaldo, and or maybe like a Jeff Bezos, but I'm not, because I don't know the rules of the game. And when I see such a person, I have to come to those conclusions. So even if I see that person, like I have one that walks around, and anytime I see him, I shake him. So I say hello. Um, but I wouldn't necessarily see him and want my kid to aspire to that level. Or
of course
I
not.
can
Yeah,
res- I can respect. I can. Are you still? Are you still on?
yeah. I'm still
You
on. I'm still on. I can
you
hear you.
froze. You you froze for a while.
I think you froze for a while. Were you?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
freezing or freezing. So we can see such a person and still respect him, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, bias or not, to make certain conclusions about such a person. Yes, if we can have those conclusions, we can have those, um, but that also, um, um, that should not, that will define how we relate with that person to a certain degree, our long-term relationship with that person. But that shouldn't stop us from giving that person a decent amount of respect. Probably that guy, I wouldn't sit down with him and start discussing stuff because we don't have stuff to discuss. A brain surgeon. If I see a brain surgeon and he's talking only brain surgery, I might be fascinated for a few minutes, but I can't stay with him long term and start discussing because we have different values. So I hope you're seeing the point. So that person,
yeah,
me not forming, let's say, a close, if I see such a person, I wouldn't, let's say, go out and play with him. Hey, let's go to the park. Maybe we can do that if the person is a young person, but I cannot do that. I can't, because we have to also, you are defined by who you consistently hang out around. So
yeah,
if I want to aspire to be like a Jeff Bezos or a Bill Gates, I should clearly define my circle. So I can see such people, um, and give them some level of respect. But then I should also be able to define who I bring into my inner circles. So if I see you in the park and I ask you what you do for a living, and you tell me, um, um, you you play football, I maybe I want my son to play football. I say, follow this guy, follow him, follow him.
yeah,
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 let's be
yeah,
friends, let's be friends. But if I see you and maybe you say you work in politics and you might be the best politician, I might not necessarily, you might be wealthy, you might be well to do. I might not
yeah,
necessarily want to form a relationship with you because I'm not really, although I like analyzing politics, I'm not someone that wants to go into that line and, let's say, build the future. I want my kids to do that. So when you see someone in the park and the person tells you what they do, because ultimately we are defined by what we do, whether you like it or not.
yeah.
Uh,
That's true.
if you were like my dad, for instance, uh, you are defined by what you do, but like he always says, certification should not be like a prison. He read medicine. He then went on to be a pastor. He opened a church. It didn't work. He left the church. He was running a school. It was too. He left it. He went to be a public speaker. So he's not necessarily defined by one thing. If you ask him, "Who are you?" he can say, "I'm a medical doctor." He can say, "I'm a pastor," which is right, but I don't. He can say, I'm a farmer. He was farming his farms at one point. He can say, "I'm a proprietor." He can say, "I'm a content creator." He can say many things. And
Multiple things.
multiple things, and uh, based on who the person is, they can decide to form some kind of bonding based on these different facets. I think that's what we really should aspire towards, like not being defined. So I don't want someone to see me and tell me, "Who am I?" And I say, "Okay, I'm an engineer." And the person assumes I can only discuss engineering things. I want to be able to, "Who are you?" "Okay, I'm an engineer, but I can discuss politics. I can discuss science. I can discuss, I want to be that versatile to be able
Yeah.
to, so that someone
I get
doesn't
I
box me.
think, sorry to cut you short. I think we I get your point, but I'm also coming from a different direction. Like, meaning if someone asks me, who are you? I I would tend to say, oh, I'm a diverse person. I want to be a truthful person. I'm love. Um
What they not love for
you
face?
know, I understand. Like I would want to bring the qualities like that I want to have, like a lot of things. Like I'm curious, I'm open to learning, Don't I
Okay,
don't want to define myself like, oh, I can write programming code. I can no, I'm an engineer, I can do civil engineering, no, I'm a doctor, I can open brains. Like I want to be able to define myself the way I feel I should define myself. Not like, that kind
okay,
of
yeah,
way, but
yeah. Maybe that's a good thing. Not being defined by one job, not being defined. Okay, you're a doctor. You're defined by medicine. Everything you discuss is medicine. How you see yourself is medicine. Your colleagues are all medicine. Your friends are all medicine. I think that's a very restrictive perspective of
yeah,
life. Um, but then I think also if someone sees you and um, if someone sees you, for instance, and says, I think maybe the proper approach, if someone sees you, based on the person that sees you, you should be able to you should be able to state who you are. Let's say you want to be a professional footballer. I know it's too late for you now, but
no, I can be a ref.
okay, you want to be a ref, for instance, and then you see someone who is director or referees, and the person asks, "Who are you?" Okay, I'm Ko Tigbade. What do you do? You won't start saying, "I'm love, I'm patience." The time I like soccer, I do this. You wouldn't start saying, "Man, let's say even if you play chess," I wouldn't start saying, "I play chess," because that might not be relevant in that discussion.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You need
So
to promote yourself based on the discussion at hand.
yeah, it makes sense now. So depending on the demographics where you are or the kind of person you're having discussion with or your environment, you can define yourself more in a different way in different scenario.
I,
So yeah, makes sense
I
now.
feel I feel
Like
that's the right
for
approach.
example, if you go for like a social networking event, like for engineers, I wouldn't say,
Mhm.
oh, I'm love, I'm the advice, I'm accurate, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You want to talk about your skills,
You want
yeah,
to talk
which
about
makes
the
sense,
skill
yeah.
relevant to, because ultimately, if you're someone who wants to, you have kids, for instance, you want to be able to provide for them. Love and good nature and good heart, it's not going to provide for them. Uh,
Of course.
your skills, you have 24 hours. If you invest those 24 hours in, let's say, uh, uh, being in the tech industry, or let's say you invest those 24 hours in being a referee, and being a referee is going to pay you more, you better invest those 24 hours in being a referee. So ultimately, we want to advance in life, want to provide, and um, want to bring value to the world. So I think we should be open to, and most times, also, like I asked in the beginning, if you were someone, let's say you developed something that uh, is going to bring some value to the world, and someone asks you, who are you? What do you do? I think it is not pride to say this is what I do if it will bring value to the person that you are discussing, if you think it will be of interest to that person. I don't think it's pride or putting yourself on a. I know I get the point here saying that most people just say this, okay, an engineer, I'm this, just for them to be respected. Might be, I don't see it as bad, but I don't, it's not that I would necessarily respect someone who comes with that front, but I see it as a re, natural part of life, because there's something I was listening to someone who said, I was listening to someone who was talking about life, and he was like, if you find yourself depressed in life, and let's say you don't have a job, don't have a family, don't go to church, you don't do the things that normal people do, Most of these things that you see normal people doing, they are the things that anchor us to life, like having a job, no matter what the job is, even if it's a 9 to 5 job, uh, having having a family, for instance. I'm not saying it's everybody's cup of tea to have a family, but
Yeah,
if you don't, I think he counted 5 aspects of life, like a job, a family, maybe friends or something. If you don't have any of these aspects of life, um, you'll find yourself, you'll find yourself like out of sync with life. So most people, when they say, okay, I am this, this is what I do, it's like that is what anchors them to life. I do this to provide for my family. Maybe I do this to bring some value to the world. I get your point. There are people who say this to kind of give up some pride. I know there are people who say
yeah.
that, but
And
also,
I have one example to give you.
yeah,
I've met someone,
uh-huh,
we started discussing, like, he's a linguistic. He speaks 9 to 10 languages, like
okay,
I speak Dutch, I speak Polish, Romanian, English, Afrikaners. And throughout my time conversating with that person, I've not learned nothing. I've only learned, maybe a little bit. But there was one time I went to climb the mountain in Boston, and I got to the top of the mountain. I just went, oh, I thought I could put my tent. It was during the summertime. And during the summertime, we got to the top of the mountain. It was super cold in the evening, in the night. I'm like, no way.
yeah,
So in between, we saw a cabin. It was an old man, a shepherd that owns a sheep. And it was like, oh, that you guys can't put tents here. It's like windy, it's super cold, even though it's summer, but it's super cold at the top of the mountain because of the high altitude. I was like,
yeah,
come to my cabin, and I was shaking. I was shaking, like it gave me a wool to wear. It gave me soup, Then I slept during the night. Then in the morning, I was so fascinated, like the care and love he gave to us. Like I said, I just want to ask him one question. What is life? And the man answered. He said, life is health. And he explained to me that if you're not healthy, whatever you envision for yourself, you cannot accomplish it. Then I
yeah.
took that message in my left hand and kept it very tight. So going back to the linguistic I'm talking to, I asked him the same question, also to evaluate him. Like, what is life to you? And he told me, oh, life is, accomplishing your goal and stuff like that, getting setting a vision, and I'm like, but and then he asked me the same question, and I said, to me, life is health, because when you're healthy, then you can accomplish any mission or vision you have for yourself. But like, nah, he doesn't really think that. Like, for him is, yeah. Then okay, I knew where the conversation was going. I'm like, okay, this is not my type of guy. It doesn't align with some core values that I tend to align with. Like, if you're not healthy, they used to say there's two type of people in this world.
Mhm.
People who are healthy have a lot of problems, a lot of issues to think of. They want to buy car, they want to buy house, they want to do that, they want to do that. But someone that is unhealthy only has one problem, just to be healthy. So I'm like, if you don't understand the basic of life, that you keeping yourself healthy gives you a long trajectory to succeed in life, like I don't think I should be conversating with you. Like, we are not on
No,
the
well,
same page.
I get your point, but I think you might be being unnecessarily harsh on that second guy, on the linguistics
Yeah,
guy. Yes, health, it's in this case, this might be a case of parallel to like health obviously is wealth. If you are not healthy, you can't be thinking of that. Is like it's like a basic fact of life. I don't even think we should even, maybe it's bigger than a perception of life, because it's just a practical fact. If you're not healthy, you've been thinking of setting goals. The only goal you have is to become healthy, or to bear
healthy. Yeah,
or to bear pain. But beyond health, coming back, let me play the devil's advocate for that linguistic guy. Beyond health,
Okay.
let's say we are all healthy. Then beyond
Yeah.
health, what is your what are the values? Then for that guy, his values were setting goals, accomplishing goals, until he comes to a point where health is a hurdle in him
Yeah.
accomplishing his core values. Then I think he's also right in his own sense. He's
Yeah. I guess.
yeah. So for you, it might not resonate well unless you are a person who has a health condition. Then you most likely fall to the line of thinking of the elderly man. But as a young person who I suspect the linguistic guy is young.
Yeah.
As a young
Like
person, it's
around same age. Yeah.
yeah,
In
a young
30s. Yeah.
person, youth, you think youth comes with invincibility. You think you're invincible. You think you're indestructible. Until you're 60, then you start thinking about you start thinking about health. Yeah, so
uh,
I think um and there's also one point that I wanted to touch on. Most times, most times, most people have this wrong notion uh, that um, if I see someone who has achieved a very high position in life, I know obviously that for you to um, okay, let me say this before I go back to the point I was trying to make.
okay.
Most people call themselves they are a good person, especially in dating. Most people say I'm a nice guy, but I don't attract girls. But when it comes to the core of it, are you really a nice person, or you're someone is who has not had the opportunity to be bad? So being a nice person is not necessarily a good person. Most people they see people in low positions of society and they say, okay, this person is a nice person. If you take that nice person and put him as the president or put him as that, give him position, give him authority. Do
And
you think
power.
and power? Do you think that person will still be nice? So coming back to my point, most times when I see people who have achieved a lot in life, I know it is not possible for you to go through life except you achieve nothing whatsoever. It's not possible for you to go through life without stepping on some toes, without offending some people, whether you have good intentions or not. I know some people deliberately go out to hurt some people just for their own benefit. But if you've been, let's say, a manager, a president, if you've achieved any top position, you you would have to have offended some people. And most times we have this perception that people who are, let's say, um, like my dad used to say that his mother told him, don't associate with rich people. And that was the first rule he broke. Most times you say, okay, because this person is rich, they might have been bad people for them to attain this
Yeah.
level of wealth. Why and try to replicate that in your life than just assuming everything. Like this really used to annoy me when I see people see someone like Bill Gates or all this and say, okay, these people are evil, they belong to this society, they belong. If if they put such people in those societies, they put you in that position, wouldn't you be happy?
And they might do worse.
They might even do worse. They might even do worse. So most times when I see someone who has achieved something, I don't I don't like to vilify that
Bash
person.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bash that person. I know okay they might have done some bad thing, but if I'm able to learn something good from what has taken this person to this height, I prefer to learn that and discard all the bad things because I know I'm not perfect myself. Even you in a lower position, you are not perfect yourself. You even might have more
Yeah.
evils and more devils than the person who you think you are better than. Yeah, so that's one
Yeah,
point I
you know,
wanted to make.
that's one good qualities I took out of Jeff Bezos, that he doesn't care about today, tomorrow. No, he cares about the next 5 years, 10 years. You know, he tends to invest like in the next 5 years. Like he doesn't care about returns in the next 1 to 3 years. Like he's always thinking multiple years ahead.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's some good things I like about Jeff.
yeah. I think this has been an interesting conversation.
Yeah, and still you've still not been able to introduce yourself without without those parameters.
Yeah, like anybody listening to me now, I don't think, unless you know me personally, you might not know what I do for a living. And recently, I resigned from my job because I there's something my dad says. If you want to plan your trajectory, look at people above you in your line of work, and 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 if that is what you want to achieve in life, then you continue in that line. But if that's not what you want to achieve in life, then you have to think of something else. And I've done several things in my life, and uh, whenever I meet someone, I don't think I'm under the pressure of defining what I do, because I don't even know what I do right now. I just I just want to be able to uh, uh, when I meet someone, I want to be able to have a respectful conversation with the person,
Exactly, just like me. Yeah.
be able to express myself, be able to find some common ground with the person, and if the person wants to take advantage of me, to be able to hit the person like.
Yeah, I go into conversation, because I want to learn. I want to know your side of view. How do you view the world? Like, because we view things differently. So I go in knowing that I want to learn from you. And if I see that I can't learn that much, au revoir, la rivedere, bye bye.
Yeah, so I think when people define what they do, sometimes it might be, most people might do that from a restrictive mentality. Okay, I am this person, my life is defined by this. But also looking at it from a different aspect, can you can define what you do to maybe have some bonding with the person, for opportunities. um it can go in both ways. I wouldn't necessarily see it as a good or bad thing in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All same. I don't see it as good or bad thing. I just feel like we've normalized it in the world that okay,
we
it's
are
gonna
we
be
are
like that.
we are social animals. We must have a place. I think everything you do makes the world. Everyone must have a function in society. Either you're
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hero.
I think it makes sense because I'm imagining like in the beginning of the world when everyone was were hunters
We're
and
hunters,
farmers,
farmers.
and even the farmers they'll be like, okay, me I have 100 acres. How many acres do you have?
Yeah, I mean, of
That
course.
kind of thing, like.
If you were, if even all every if everyone were, there were farmers with big tubers of
Yeah.
yam. There were farmers with,
Or
like you said, 500, not 500, like 20 children. Where there
yeah.
were farmers with 2 children. There were farmers with 5 wives to farm.
Yeah. So that would also put you on the kind of pedigree. Okay, but me,
It,
I grow cocoa. I'm the richest. Me, you grow just
yeah,
maize.
yeah.
That
So
kind of thing. So
I think
it makes
it
sense.
it didn't just start with
It didn't start just
industrialization.
just after the second industrialization. Yeah, yeah,
It has always been. I think even if you take it back to the Bible, like fishers of men, like it's
yeah.
as long
The people
as
who
we.
have the shepherds also who had more sheep. That kind of thing. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then. Thanks for hosting me. I
Yeah,
would love to have more discussions like this.
yeah, it's a nice. nice conversation. I did enjoy it also, and
Okay.
we can always do it both ways.
Yeah. When
Nice
when I
nice
have
having you.
when I have a topic that that can make you think, I also like to host you
I can wait. I can wait.
and break your head as
I
well. Uh,
sorry for catching you off guard with the question, but
no,
imagine
it was
with one
nice.
question you can see how we expatiate, and man, it's lovely having you, and for sure I'm going to have you multiple times more. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for
Okay. Yeah.
listening and
Yeah.
have a great day.
Same. Bye.
Bye.